What's up, it's Jan back at it again with another I don't like it. What's up, it's Jan back at it again with another nerdy bookish video. This is gonna be my September wrap up. Alright everybody, we're back with the reread, rewrite, burn method. If you're new here, I do my wrap-ups like this every single month for like 3.5 years now. I don't even know. And I love it. I'm never going back. Except when I did in July for the massive amount of books I read for no reason. Anyway, so I have all the books I read on little slips of paper in this skull. We will just go through them 3 at a time and I'll say whether I would reread, rewrite, or burn the book. No, I don't actually burn the books. Okay, this is all hypothetical and it all depends on the groupings because a 5-star isn't necessarily going to be an automatic reread. Sometimes I've burned 5 stars before and vice versa for 1 stars. So I don't think I had any 1 stars this month, but I've definitely had a couple 2 stars, I think. But first, we always do a little bit of a recap of the month. September was a really good month for several reasons. I mentioned some on Patreon, some on Instagram, but the full story only close friends know for now, and it's just been a really good month. So thank you to everyone who has been around to listen to me talk about it. Life was good, but reading was mediocre. This is all obviously subjective, right? Only to me might not be only to everybody else, but I only read 20 books in September and I fought for my life to hit that 20, okay? On the last day of September, I stayed up past my bedtime on a work night just to get my last, I think I finished 4 books that day just to hit 20 books because I could not live with, I don't remember the last time I read less than 20 books in a month. Just for me personally, I couldn't not be mad at myself because I have problems. Okay, I did hit the 20, so yay me. I only read 1 manga this month, and that was the very last book that I read that I needed to like pull that Hail Mary to hit the 20, you know? But otherwise, I had a couple 5 stars. I was just reading really slowly because life. We are gonna have 6 rounds of reread, rewrite, burn, and then 2 wild cards. So that could either repeat or not in terms of like I could reread both of them, or you know what I mean. You know what a wild card is. I don't know why I'm explaining everything so much. Oh no, I didn't fill out the recap. Where is my phone? I'm gonna have to calculate all my pages. Oh, I'm sitting on it. Okay, I forgot to calculate how many pages I read, so hold on. I know Storygraph does it for you. I like to do things manually and make my life harder. Okay, pause.
A few moments later.
Okay, so according to my calculations, that was me pushing up my imaginary glasses, I read 5,366 pages this month. Number of BIPOC authors, I did poorly again. Out of 20 books, I read 1, 2, 6, 7 BIPOC authors. I've been slacking. I'm so sorry. Like truly, genuinely, I feel so bad every time I go under 50%. Just, again, it's a personal thing. I just beat myself up over everything. But anyway, my best book of the month. Oh, yep. This came in on the last day. I was kind of struggling to find my best book of the month because I only had a couple 5 stars. But Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson came through with a 5-star. I read this all in one sitting with the ALC audiobook that I had from Libro because I finally signed up for that and I'm loving it. I feel so stupid for not just clicking that link and making my account like 2 years ago when people started telling me about it. I read Bloom earlier this year, loved it. I think I also gave it 5 stars. It might have been a 4, but either way, this was definitely 5 stars. I think I had more fun with this one. It was so fast paced. This is pitched as The Menu meets Ready or Not. I haven't consumed Ready or Not. I think it's just a movie, right? There's no book for it, but I have watched The Menu and I agree with that comp for sure. This is commentary on people with power mistreating lower class people, people who work for them, etc., just because they can. And then it's a revenge story, a badass one, may I add. So it's about this girl, Des, who wants to date this guy who's the son of this big fashion icon, if you will, because she wants a job in fashion. So she dates this shitty guy and he takes her to this private island and some shit goes down at said island. It's a fun time. The kills in this, so well done. High praise for this one. What is my worst book of the month? Oh, I did give a 1 star. Exit West. I gave it 1 star because there is this very racist comment directed towards Filipinos and I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll link the vlog below. I'm not gonna repeat the quote but I did read it out loud or repeated it or whatever in that vlog, and it was just like blatant racism, and there was no like redemption for it. There was no explanation. It was just this brief scene where he talked about his hatred towards Filipinos, and then it moved on to another scene or even a chapter. I don't remember, but at least I got to check it off the 100 best books of the 21st century, I guess. So yeah, that was my 1 star. Oh, I didn't give any 2 stars. The rest were 3 and above. Cool. The nonfiction book that I read was actually also my reread for the month, which was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. This is my favorite nonfiction book. One of them, at least my favorite self-help book for sure. This was my 3rd time reading this book, and I just read it whenever I realize I've been giving too many fucks in life, in everything, and I just needed reminders to think less and care less about things that are trivial and don't really need to be prioritized or don't need my energy to be put towards, you know, all at once. So yeah, this talks about boundaries, which is like my favorite topic this year, as a lot of y'all know. Relationships, toxicity, and materialism, and consumerism. It makes you see this new perspective that you may or may not have thought about before, but it changed my life multiple times now, so I needed it to do it again. So I reread this. I was gonna read the 3rd Gilmore Girl, but I'm reading that this month in October. It's October 2nd as I'm filming this, so yay me for filming my wrap up so early in the month. But yeah, I decided to switch over to this one because I was like, I need it. This is the only book where I go to and like I just know in my heart of hearts that I need it at that moment. Turn to this. So this was that. 5 stars again, obviously. Kindle books I read. Lucy Undying, which I do have a physical copy of. This was gifted to me by Joey's friend. It actually came in the mail the day after I finished it on my Kindle because I had the NetGalley arc that I dragged on, but I'm glad I have this gorgeous, gorgeous cover on my shelf now. I think I would reread it one day. I feel like this would be a good book to annotate because it does have that lush, like gothic, just beautiful writing. It's a Dracula retelling. We follow Lucy and Iris, this other character, in a different timeline. I gave it 4 stars, like a low 4 because I didn't really like the ending, to be honest, and a couple of the reveals were predictable, and it was a little bit too long. It's like over 400 pages, almost 500 I think, but the chapters are super short. So I enjoyed my time. I just wish it was like a glaring 5 stars, you know, because this was a 5-star prediction for me because y'all know I love Dracula. I still recommend this to people who love vampire books for sure. But I read that on my Kindle. I also read, Apples in the Fall by Lainey Lockett, I think. I read this book for my coffin covers challenge over on Patreon, which is a little reading challenge we do every month where we look for something on the cover. It's a cute little time to like share what we find, like where we find an apple on these random book covers. This was a very random pick for me. I just saw it on Goodreads, I think, when I searched cozy fall romance books or something like that, and I wasn't even actually looking, but I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. I don't have to read and trudge through Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig, which is why I chose An Apple for September in the first place, because I really wanted to read that book. I tried rigging the system and then I failed my own system. But I read this book and I gave it a 3, like a low 3, because the steam was good at some points. It was a really short Kindle Unlimited romance set on an apple orchard owned by this mom who has this daughter and a new husband. We meet her ex and the rest of her family. There's all this drama. There was a lot going on, and I feel like it could have been a full novel for sure, and everything could have been more fleshed out. But for what it is, I think it was done pretty well. The ending was really cute. It did give semi-cozy fall vibes just because of the apple orchard and like the setting and everything, but it was alright. There were some cringy moments though, like, oh my god, the word folds in the sex scenes. You know how much I hate that, right? Yeah, it happened multiple times. Like wet, juicy folds. Ugh. I can't do it. I could not do it. That alone took a star off. I think those were my only 2 Kindle books. I have that as a category because I want to utilize my Kindle and not waste my KU subscription. But the arc, did I only read 1 arc? Technically 2, because I read this arc and then the audiobook arc for Guillotine. So yeah, I already talked about both of these, so that's nice. Coffin covers I just talked about. Buzzwordathon, Kayla's annual reading challenge where you look for things in the title every month. September's was senses, so it could be like eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and then like things that those things do, like see, look, hear, taste. I read On a Clear Day You Can See Block Island. This is the Twisted Retreat edition. I freaking love Twisted Retreat. Again, please sponsor me. But this was such a pleasant surprise. I've said this so many times this year, but short horror has been doing the damn thing for me, and and this is no exception because I gave this a high 4-star rating. It was almost a 5, but there were some like lulls towards the end and I didn't really like those parts, but otherwise I got creeped out by this and the writing was good. My favorite part about this book were the discussions about the horror genre, like how people perceive it, how people treat it in terms of like book selling, why it's even a thing, and what it does to the human mind, I guess, when you consume it. I really love those parts, but there were also some sad moments in this as well. We follow this family of like 5 siblings and this deadbeat dad. We start the story off with them playing a game. One of the sisters gets eaten by this monster. Okay, this is definitely like cosmic horror-ish, folk horror, whatever you want to call it. I feel like those lines are so blurred between those two. It's hard to distinguish. And it's on Block Island that this happened. And then, is it years later? A couple of her siblings go back and try to figure out what exactly this creature was and if other people on the island have seen anything. So they meet all these people, do all this research, and yeah, there's a lot of deaths. Very similar to The Mist by Stephen King, at least the movie. I never read the book. There were parts in the second half where I was just like, this is not, oh, my sprints. I'm doing Discord sprints with patrons. That was just my alarm. But yeah, this was a 5-star for the first half, for sure. Learning about the characters and then all these spooky encounters, but the second half brought it down to a 4, unfortunately, but that's still really good and I would reread this. Oh, we're not on the reread part, but I would reread this in general and I highly recommend because I haven't heard too many people talk about this. Anyone talk about this, creator-wise. I've heard people in my comments talk about it and loved it too. So, Twisted Retreat books have been hitting. I haven't had a single miss from Twisted Retreat yet. Granted, I haven't read all of them that I own, but the ones I have read were all 4 to 5 stars. My book of the month or Aardvark books. So that's like combined. I'm trying to whittle down my book of the month specifically, but Aardvark 2 is piling up now because I am a rep for them. I didn't read an Aardvark book this month, but if you're interested, I do have a discount code, JAN, J-A-N, to get your first box for $4 and free shipping. Kind of ironic that I just pitched that because I'm about to talk about 2 book of the month books. So I read Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas and Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. This was my full moon book club pick and I do have a spoiler-filled vlog, so I'll link that down below. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but I gave this 4 stars and I surprisingly loved this. I say surprisingly because I hated Daphne by Josh Malerman. I'll have that vlog linked down below. And then Vampires of El Norte was on my 24 for 2024, so that was an accomplishment to finally check this off. And I love the Hacienda, so I had high hopes for this one, but I unfortunately gave it 3 stars, I believe. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. I think the hype got to me and I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this romance from start to finish. I'm gonna be so blown away by this writing because it's her sophomore novel. I'm gonna love it even more than the Hacienda. Yeah, I just hyped myself too much. I hyped it too much for myself in my head. Hyped it up too much for myself. Wow, why was that so hard? Basically, these 2 characters, Nestor and Nena, were in love. He left for reasons. He thought she was dead. She wasn't. And he came back and she's like, holy shit, you left. And he's like, holy shit, I thought you were dead. They rekindle after going on this like little adventure journey, whatever, together. And they encounter all these vampires. There's also this whole metaphor of vampires being colonizers. It's set in 1840s Mexico on a ranch. I like the setting. I like the vibes. I like the writing. There was just something about it. And I wish I could tell you. I felt like it dragged a little too much. The Hacienda was a gothic horror, so I expected that to drag, but yeah, I guess people did tell me that this was a slow book, but I wasn't as obsessed with the romance as I thought I would be. I think that's what was the most disappointing for me because everyone said, yeah, this is a horror, but the romance is like the best part, and I just didn't get that. So yeah, I gave that 3 stars. I did not read a 500+ page book and I did not read a classic. So now we can finally move on to Reread, Rewrite, Burn. All right, let's go to the first 3. We've got The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore, An Affinity for Formaldehyde by Chloe Spencer, and I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This I would reread for sure. This would have been my best of the month had I not read Guillotine on the last day. This was 5 stars. I followed along with the audiobook. I read it in a couple hours, I think. These 40 women are locked up in this bunker underground. The 40th woman has been there since she was a child, so that is like all she's known known, as in she's never known men, hence the title, you know? She's only known these women. She's only known this bunker. She didn't even know things about herself, like her own body. She didn't know what things were called. She didn't miss anything, you know, like in the real world, all these women would talk about how they miss their families and doing this with their friends and whatever, and she just had no recollection of anything because she didn't know anything else. So it's just an interesting perspective because she was also smart, like street smart. So eventually in the book they do escape, and I think that says that soon she will show herself to be the key to the others' escape and survival in the strange world that awaits them above ground. So yeah, they do escape eventually, and then we follow them walking through this world outside of the bunker, and it's like post-apocalyptic. Is it dystopian? I don't even know, but this was published in like 97, I think, which is the year I was born. But it reads really easily. It has really good writing, really good quotable quotes, and commentary on feminism, misogyny, men and women in general, and how they like interact in society. And it's just fascinating to think about how your brain changes when you just don't know anything else than what your environment has been since you were a child, you know. And all these women, she just kind of had to trust what these women told her entire life that she's been there. You know, there are a lot of sad parts in this too. Like, these are older women walking out in the elements, so some of them do die, but that's all I'm gonna say. So prepare to be sad and also mind blown if you pick this up. So I would reread that. I forgot what I was doing for a sec. Shit. Okay. I would rewrite An Affinity for Formaldehyde, which was also 5 stars. Can I just say I'd make it longer? Because I loved this story, but I feel like it was also the perfect length. There's this messed up grandma who loves taxidermy, and she's marrying our main character's childhood best friend. Our main character goes back to the hometown to be a witness to this wedding, and she gets like fucked over. And her grandma's just batshit crazy. I think if it was like a little bit longer, like maybe not a full novel. I think this was less than 100 pages. Yeah, this was 96 pages. So if it was like 150, even 200 pages, I would love that. But at the same time, it did what it had to do. It packs a punch in 96 pages. So I highly recommend. I haven't heard anybody talk about this, but one of my patrons, Natalie, no, her name's Natasha. Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads gifted this to me for my birthday, and I read it for I read both of those books for my reading books gifted to me from Vampies. I'll link the vlog down below. But love that, but I would rewrite it to make it longer. And then I would burn the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, which I gave 3 stars, I think. Yeah, like a low 3. Because it was cute, but bitch, it isn't even set in the fall. Tell me that doesn't look like it's set in the fall. I was bamboozled, okay? The steamy scenes were eh. The romance was eh. Everything was kind of eh. The ending was nice. I think it rounded out really well. I don't think it ended in pregnancy, so that was nice. But it's a cute small town romance. And it is bookish, like really bookish, so that was fun. But I like the Pumpkin Spice Cafe better. I had such high expectations for this one because this is set in a book, like at a bookstore for the most part, but there was this other element, like mystery-ish element to it, which I wasn't expecting, and it was kind of disappointing. But I would burn this. Next 3, we have On a Clear Day You Can See Block Island. I have a love-hate relationship with long titles because I love long titles because of Mayday Parade, because their song titles are so good and just like so many words, but I just hate saying it over and over again for videos. We have Spiderwick, the Field Guide. This is the first in the series, the Spiderwick Chronicles. This is one of the books I read on the last day of September because I owned it and I've never read it. My friend Cami gifted this to me. So I figured it'd be a good way to get another book off my physical TBR and onto my goal of 20 books for the month. And then The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. I would reread this, obviously, no doubt about it. I already have. I would rewrite this, the second half, I'd fix it somehow. The mist thing was kind of too on the nose, so maybe I would change that, but yeah, rewrite that, and then I'd burn this because there are so many other books in the series. This was just a good like introduction to the series. I gave this 3 stars, but it's so cute. In my head, I can't stop thinking about this as Inkheart meets the Series of Unfortunate Events. Will definitely be reading this series, but wow, that was really easy. Okay. Next we have Lucy Undying by Kirsten White, Exit West, oh god, okay, and then Twilight Falls by Juno Black. Okay, so I would reread this. I would burn Exit West, and then I would rewrite Twilight Falls to make it a tad less. Well, it actually wasn't that predictable. I actually was shocked by that twist, so I don't know what I'm saying. I got it mixed up with another book in the series. Oh, I gave it 4 stars. I think I gave it the 4th star because I was shook by the twist, but I think I didn't like the main characters we followed. Like the main characters involved in the case. Yeah, God, that book took me forever to read, to actually like pick up and continue. There's a whole story behind that. I've said it multiple times. I'll link the vlog down below. I think I finished it though in a Lara readathon vlog, so you won't get like my final thoughts, but here are my final thoughts. Is that I gave it a 4-star and I was shocked by the twist. And yeah, I would just rewrite it and follow more fun characters, I guess. We followed this like young couple. It was a beaver and an otter. The dad didn't like them together, and then we find out that he fell down this like big waterfall. That's like the murder investigation case, and it's like who murdered him, was he actually murdered, etc, etc. So that's just a cute, fun, cozy time set in a small town called Shady Hollow, and it's like Gilmore Girls meets Zootopia. I feel like I've repeated myself so many times about that book. I'm done talking about that book. These are really nice to me today. The Partner Plot by Christina Forrest, Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson, Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. Okay, what was the first one? Oh, The Partner Plot. Okay, so I would reread this because I already talked about how much I love it. I would rewrite this because I don't want to burn it. How would I rewrite it? I honestly didn't really like the ending. I think I would rewrite the ending. I mean, I like the overall theme of like innocence and stuff, but I wish it took it to another level. I don't know what level, but I didn't feel too satisfied by the ending. But I like the lead up to everything going on. But the other mommy parts in this were so creepy. Again, I'll have the link to the spoiler-filled video down below. And then I would burn The Partner Plot. I mean, I gave The Partner Plot 4 stars. God, I have to keep fact-checking myself. Yeah, I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a second chance romance. We follow, what's her name, Iris? Was it Iris or Lily? No, Lily was the first one. Was it Violet? I think it actually was Violet and Xavier, and they were high school sweethearts. She is like this big celebrity stylist, and he is this high school teacher and trying to be like this sports coach. I don't even remember what sport. Was it football? I don't know. They accidentally, drunkenly get married in Vegas, and then they decide to just fake this marriage for publicity purposes for her career. So they're figuring that out, and it was a whole mess, but it was fun. And I really enjoy that there wasn't a third act breakup, because we have 2 main characters who are adults who know how to communicate with each other. So I really enjoyed that part. That gained a star in and of itself. And Christina Forrest is just a good romance writer. I enjoyed The Neighbor Favor. I can't remember the steamy scenes in this book, if I liked them or if I was cringing. I think they were okay. There was also like a taking care of her moment, so that was cute. But I would still burn it because, I mean, there are many, many other second chance romances out there. Yeah, you'll never know with this game. Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I Can Never Roll My R's, Don't Make Fun of Me. Freshwater by Kwake Emezi. And Chainsaw Man Volume 2. So Chainsaw Man Volume 2 was the only manga I read this month, which is wild. So I guess 20 books isn't too bad. I did read a lot of shorty patorties though. Anyway, I think I'd burn Chainsaw Man Volume 2. I did give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's so unhinged. This series, I don't even know really what's going on. Things just keep popping up out of nowhere, and people just keep saying some unhinged things. Like this one guy really just wants to touch this girl's boobs, and I was just like, what am I reading right now? Like, why is this Adult Swim but make it manga? It has like all these like funky looking creatures, and it is pretty creepy, the illustrations, but ask me about the plot, couldn't tell you. I will continue the series. I don't know what that says about me, but I would reread Freshwater because the Kwake Emezi is who they are. I gave this 4 stars. It could have been a 5 if I had my full attention on it, but I think I had the audiobook on Libby, so I would listen to it on my drives, and I zoned out a couple times, I think, so that's on me, but I know this has 5-star potential. It also has a very complex concept of like different personalities, different spirits. This definitely deserves a reread because the writing is just phenomenal as always. We follow this character Ada. I'm just gonna read it. An unusual child who is a source of deep concern to her southern Nigerian family. Young, is it Ada or Ada? Is troubled, prone to violent fits. Born with one foot on the other side, she begins to develop separate selves within her as she grows into adulthood. And there's like a bunch of trigger warnings in this as well, so look those up. But this is a Kwake Emezi's debut, and one of my patrons, M, gifted this to me, so I read this for the Vamps vlog as well. That'll link down below, so thank you, M. Oh, and this was gifted to me by Jessie, by the way. Jessie Chamber Reads on Instagram, another one of my patrons. And then Vampires of El Norte, I would rewrite. I don't know how. I guess cut it down a few pages and make the romance better. I mean, it was good. I don't know what to do to make myself more invested in these characters, but I didn't feel too much chemistry. Maybe it was just like the mood I was in. I wasn't in the mood to like fully invest myself and my brain to this romance, but I would just like tweak the romance a little bit. Oh, and there was this one scene where they had sex in the open. They were both like dirty and gross and sweaty, and I just like could not move past it. I was like, hello, hygiene? But I guess you had to do what you gotta do, you know? All right. Next we have The Bell Chime by Mona Kabani. Also read this for the Vamps vlog. One of my patrons, Tiffany, gifted this to me for my birthday. Then we have Slewfoot by Brom, which was my Lair Bloody read for September. Oh my god, I forgot to talk about this arc. I also read this arc, but it's a physical arc. An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson. I finally finished this. This is one of those books that I brought to like 12 different vlogs, so I apologize, but I finally did it. I finally finished it. This is difficult. To be honest though, I would reread Slewfoot. Really enjoyed the vibes of this. I gave it 4 stars. I think there were some parts where I just could not wrap my head around it, or like I wasn't interested in reading about those certain parts, but the commentary on how women are mistreated, especially in this like time period in this world, whatever, that was really good. And apparently some of the scenes like historically are pretty accurate, I heard. There's a Faustian bargain in this as well, which is one of my favorite tropes. So I really enjoyed it. I would reread it. I like the writing in this. I enjoyed this a lot more than Krampus by Brom. If you're looking for witchy vibes, definitely this is the one, but it does have really strong horror elements. I was kind of shocked. No, I wasn't. Was I shocked? I don't even know. There were some parts where I was like, no fucking way is that happening. Like, what is going on? What is he seeing in the water? Yeah, there are some torture scenes, so do look up trigger warnings because they get intense. Also, there's an animal death in this. I have a vlog for that on Patreon because it was our bloody read for the month, and it was really fun reading it with them and discussing on Discord. It was perfect for spooky season. I guess I would rewrite An Academy for Liars. I'll take the borderline sci-fi elements out. Y'all know me in sci-fi, we just cannot get along to save my life. Like, I don't know what to do. I would also just omit the romance. The romance was so unnecessary. One of my friends is like, at the end, the romance like got me in my feels, and I'm like, yeah, that didn't have the same effect on me, and that's fine because like I could see why it was heart-shattering, but at the same time I was not invested enough in the romance at all because the whole time I was like, this is unnecessary. I don't need to read about this. I just want the dark academia murder vibes, you know? And it did deliver on that, but the ending dragged so hard. The amount of times I read the word elevator, oh my fucking god, I wanted to bash my head against the wall. Needless to say, this was not 5 stars as I predicted. This is one of my most anticipated of the year. Got an arc for it. Thank you so much. Who sent me this? The Penguin Random House for sending this to me, but alas, I gave it 3 stars and I'm really sad about it, especially because it took me like months to read. So I would rewrite that, and then I gave The Bell Chime 4 stars, but I guess I'd burn it in this scenario. To be fair, I really just like the first half a lot more. It's kind of broken up into 2 different stories. I honestly don't even remember the second half. I read this in one sitting. I was drawing while I was listening to this, but also annotating and following along. So it's kind of a little bit of a blur, and I read this. This was my first book of September. The first half talks about this girl who leaves her house, sees a missing poster with her face on it. So that's creepy. And then it shifted to like this other perspective about these different characters, and I was just kind of confused just a little bit. But the overall message of the book, I remember enjoying. I think I read the author's note and it explained certain things. So last 2 books are Apples in the Fall and My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. My Brilliant Friend was another one that I took into several vlogs. It was another one off the 100 Best Books of the 21st Century list. I gave it 4 stars. Would I reread that? I don't know if I'd reread it, but I wouldn't burn it either. So I guess rewrite is the only, but like rewriting the #1 book on that list kind of seems criminal. So maybe I won't. Maybe I would reread because I feel like there were so many things I missed too. But realistically, I'd rather just continue with the series rather than rereading this first one. But for the sake of this game, I would say reread because I did have wait, did I give it 4 stars? I gave it 3 stars. I just lied to everyone involved. Yeah, I gave it 3 stars. I don't know. It was just a weird, like slow family/friend saga. I don't know if it's what am I saying? It just follows these 2 girls in their girlhood and into adolescence, and it talks about their families. There are a bunch of like random deaths too, especially in the beginning, and that was jarring, but I did like the writing style. Towards the end, they kept talking about the shoe factory, this like family shoe factory, and I just couldn't focus. But yeah, I guess I would reread it to see if my rating would be any higher, but truthfully, I probably wouldn't. Apples in the Fall, I'll just burn. I don't need to even put any more energy towards that book by rewriting it, but that is everything. That is everything. Wow. that was still a pretty long wrap up for 20 books. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you agree, disagree, whatever. Let me know your favorite book of September if you want. If you don't have anything else to comment but you want to leave a comment, if you made it to the end of this video, let's put what should we put? Ooh, let's put a rose emoji to represent guillotine, either the wilting rose or whatever rose. Thank you so much for watching once again. Don't forget to do some self-care. Hope you had a 5-star day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.